Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Jesus and Coffee Conversations. Thank you for joining me today. To all of my new subscribers, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining the Jesus and Coffee Conversations family. If you are not new, hello, welcome back. And if you are new, go ahead and press that subscribe button. Make sure you press the bell so you're notified whenever I upload videos, and then of course like, share, comment, all that great stuff. So y'all, I'm back. I have my natural hair back. So I had like the faux locks in for a long time. They were in for about 8 weeks, and I really like that style. That was something different for me because I've never done anything like that. So I really enjoyed it. And I'm probably gonna do it again, just not that long, but anyway, I have my natural hair back. I'm so excited, I missed it. So anyway, and I have so much stuff to talk about. Like there are so many things that I need to talk to y'all about. So of course I can't do it all in one video. So just be on the lookout for videos and podcasts, cause there's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, I think will be really good, interesting things to talk about. So today's video, I am talking about really getting out of your comfort zone, okay? I was on Instagram and I came across a post that said, I'm gonna see if I can remember it. It says something to the effect of, you can't ask God to direct your steps if you're not willing to move your feet, or something to that effect. And when I saw it, I was like, you know what? That's so true. Like there are so many people, because I used to be that person. There are so many people who always say, Lord, direct my steps, tell me, where to go, and this, that, and the third. But they're unwilling to get out of their comfort zones. They're unwilling to step out the boat like Peter and walk on water. And, for me, I was that person until, I don't know, maybe until 2013 when I rededicated myself. And especially, when my YouTube channel started. Like me starting this channel was definitely a walking on water moment, because I'm the kind of person, I'm an introvert extrovert. So sometimes I'm really introverted, stay to myself. Like I have no problem like being on my own. And then there are times where I'm extroverted, where, I'm talkative and I want to be around people and I want to interact and, all of that. So it depends on the day for that. So that's why I'm an extrovert, introvert. So doing the YouTube channel definitely brought me out my shell a lot more. A lot of people were surprised when I said that I was starting a YouTube channel. And I started it because God led me to, because I made the decision that I was going to do what he wanted me to do and say what he wanted me to say, which is why I talk about a lot of controversial things, because, he leads me to talk about those things, and it's time for the church to be bold and stop being scared about a lot of stuff. But there's a lot of people that, they're standing still, okay? They're not acting on what God is telling them to act on. And when you think about Abraham, God told him, like, look, I have all of these amazing things for you, but what you're gonna have to do is you're going to have to leave your family, your home, and you're gonna have to go. God wasn't even telling him where he was going. He was like, just leave your family, leave all these things and follow me. And the same thing with Peter, when he was, when the disciples were on the boat and it was like a big storm and Jesus was walking on the water, and Peter was like, if it's you, Lord, tell me to come. And so Jesus was like, come. And Peter stepped out of the boat onto the water. And I'm sure the other disciples were like, man, you're crazy. Like, if you don't get back in this boat, you don't know if that's really him. Like, I'm sure they were talking him out of it, just like I'm sure Abraham's family were, talking him out of being obedient to God. And those two people, and more people in the Bible, but those two people were willing to get out of their comfort zones, and they were willing to let God lead their steps, and they were willing to follow. And so God has so many amazing things in store for a lot of you, but a lot of you are frozen because of fear. And God is saying, look, I know, like, fear is a spirit, but it's also like a natural reaction. Like it comes when God is telling you to do something. You can be fearful, because of a bunch of different reasons. So fear is a spirit, because God said that He did not give us a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind. So we know that fear is not from God, but we also know that fear is a natural reaction in response to things. But it's important to remember that God is bigger than your fear. And it's important to remember that in order to get the life that God has for you, and in order for you to do what He called and created you to do, you're going to have to face that fear and do it scared. You're going to have to get out of the boat and walk on the water. And it might not make sense to your family. It might not make sense to your friends. It might not even make sense to you a lot of times. But when you know that it's definitely God telling you to do this, or telling you to, go there or say this, then that kind of trumps everything. Because okay, God is telling me to do this, and He's not going to steer me wrong. And I will tell you that when you are obedient to God and you allow Him to guide and direct your steps, and you're being willing to put one foot in front of the other and follow Him and do what He's saying, there's going to be attacks, because the devil does not want you to be obedient to God. He doesn't want you to, walk into your purpose and fulfill your calling and to get all the blessings and things that God has for you. So you're going to face, backlash and have things, happen. And it's usually when all hell starts breaking loose in your life that you're on the right track. Now, sometimes it could be because you're being disobedient to God, and God is just like, like Jonah, Jonah's going through a whole bunch of stuff because he was running from God. And God was causing all those things to happen because of his disobedience. So either way, whether you're obedient to God, disobedient to God, you're going to have to go ahead and have in your mind that, look, I'm going to have backlash. I'm going to have, circumstances happen. I'm going to have all hell break loose in my life. But when you're being obedient to God, then you know that you have nothing to worry about. It's when you're walking in disobedience that you need to be concerned. But as long as you're being obedient to God and you're doing what he's telling you to do, and you know that you're living right and all of that, then, you're not gonna, you still might sway side to side, but because you're rooted in Jesus and you're rooted in what he's telling you to do, and you're grounded, then you're not gonna fall over. So it's really important that you tune out the voices of people. We all love our friends and family. We know they mean well. We know they have our best interests at heart, but a lot of times they can hinder you and keep you from stepping into your destiny and fulfilling your God-given assignment. And there are so many people, I heard somebody say this, that the cemetery is the richest place on earth because there's so much potential in the cemetery from people who have died and they never fulfilled their purpose. I do not want to be somebody who dies and never fulfilled her purpose. I don't want to have to answer to God when, he's clearly telling me to do things. I don't want to have to answer to him and then have him ask me, why were you not being obedient? Why were you so concerned about people and their thoughts and their opinions and what they were saying instead of being focused on me and, pleasing me and doing what I called and created you to do? I'm sure that's something that God is going to ask each and every single one of us. Why, now if you're doing what he's saying, prayerfully we hear a good, well done, my good and faithful servant. But if you're not, you should not want to have to answer to God for that, because there's not going to be an excuse. And I try to get that in people's heads. There's no excuses when you're face to face with God. He's not going to care about what was going on in the world. He's not going to care what was going on with your family. He's not going to care about any of that. There's going to be no excuse. So that's something that I always keep in the back of my mind, and I pray about a lot of things. I fast about a lot of things, especially when I feel God telling me, to make this move or to, do this or whatever, because I want to make sure that it's Him, right? And with God, you always get confirmation. There's never confusion. If you have confusion, more than likely it's from the devil, because God is not the author of confusion. So with God, when God is telling you to do something, there's peace, there's confirmation, and there's no confusion about it. So, you want to make sure that you are being obedient to Him, and you're going to have to free yourself from the opinions of others, and you're going to have to free yourself from fear, because there's a lot of things, that I might be scared to do, but I do it scared, because I know that God is with me in whatever it is that I'm doing, because He's the one that led me to do it. And, so it didn't happen overnight. Now, for me, I should say it doesn't happen overnight, but for me, it kind of happened overnight, because I believe when you get so frustrated of the same things, you get to a point where you're just like, look, God, I don't care anymore. I am going to be obedient to you. I am going to do what you tell me to do. And I no longer care about what anybody has to say or anybody thinks. And that's the same attitude when it comes to fasting. Fasting gets you results. So it's not until you get so fed up with going around the same mountain that you finally say, look, I don't care if I have to fast 40 days. I will fast 2 years if I have to, because I'm tired of going around the same mountain. So it's not until you have that attitude of like, nothing and no one is going to keep me going around the same mountain. Nothing and no one is going to keep me, stuck. Because God is calling me to greater. God is calling me to bigger. So I don't know where a lot of people get like, God doesn't want us, wealthy, and we're supposed to be poor. No, that is foolishness. God does not want you poor. God owns everything, okay? He does not want you poor. He wants you to have your heaven on earth. You shouldn't have to die to wait to get everything that God has for you. God wants to bless you while you're here on this earth. But those blessings are conditional. You cannot just be living in sin and be saying a prayer, but you are not truly living for God. So when you're truly living for God, and your motive has to be right. You can't say, okay, I'm going to follow God just because I want the blessings. God knows your heart. He sees your heart. He knows your motives are wrong, and you're not going to get those blessings. So it's when your heart is right and you're like, look, I'm doing this for you, God. I'm doing this to build your kingdom. I'm doing this to save souls. Even if it's just one, at least one person is not going to hell because I was obedient. So when God knows your motives are right, then He's like, I don't mind blessing you, because you are my daughter, you are my son, and I do have all these blessings for you. And you're being obedient, and you're doing the things that my word says that you're supposed to do. You're obeying the spiritual laws and stuff, and those blessings are going to come and overflow. And so just remember that your obedience, there's a lot of good things and amazing things that happen when you are obedient to God. And your life will change for the better, and I know for me also, I know that God is about to elevate me and take me into a whole different season when, He starts removing things and people from my life. Like once people start leaving and things start leaving, I know God is stripping me, and I can feel it in my spirit, and I can hear Him saying, they can't go where I'm taking you. I'm about to take you to the next level. And that's when, I get the peace. And it's not easy. You're going to be hurt. You're going to cry. You're going to have days where you're just like, look, I don't even feel like getting out of bed. You're going to have those moments. But you have to also remember that, look, this is what I signed up for when I really gave my life to God and said I was going to do it His way and not the gummy bear Christianity way. And not, society's way. So if you're watching this and God is telling you to do something, God is telling you to, go here or go there or whatever, and make sure you're fasting, make sure you're praying, make sure you know His voice so that you're not deceived. But if you know without a doubt that God is telling you to do something, or God is telling you to go somewhere, be obedient and don't care about what people have to say, even now to family. Because God is speaking to you. Okay? He's not having a conference call with you and your family to tell everybody what the plan is. God is speaking to you to tell you what the plan is. Just like with Abraham and Sarah. God wasn't talking to Sarah. God was talking to Abraham. And Abraham heard and was obedient, and Sarah just followed. So it's not about, okay, I need to make sure my mom's on board or my dad's on board or my brother, sister, whoever. It doesn't matter if they're on board or not. Because it's not a conference call. What God is saying is between you and him, because everybody has their own life to live and everybody has their own journey, and everybody, is called to do different things for the kingdom. So you want to make sure that you're obedient to God and you're doing what he says, because his voice is the only voice that matters. And you also need to be careful about telling people, God told me to do this, God said this, because people can be jealous, people can be fearful, people can be a whole bunch of stuff, and they will talk you out of everything that God is telling you and everything that God has for you, because you're running your mouth. So just like Joseph, perfect example, when he was telling, his brothers, like, I had these dreams and like the moon and the stars were bowing down and, all that stuff, and they got jealous and they were like, oh, so what are you saying? Like, we're going to be bowing down to you? You think you're going to control us? So they got jealous about it. And you know the story, Joseph went through some stuff too. But he probably could have avoided a lot of it had he kept his mouth shut. So just because God is telling you stuff doesn't mean it's meant for you to open your mouth and tell everybody about it, because people can hinder your dreams. They can be jealous of you, like I said. They could be fearful, so they could be doubtful. They could be walking in unbelief, and they're going to pass all that to you, and then the next thing you know, you're not fulfilling your purpose. You're not walking in your destiny. So you have to be willing to step out of the boat, walk on that water, and do what God is telling you to do and do what he's calling you to do. Okay, so I hope this was helpful. Like I said, I do have some more stuff that I'm going to talk about, so look for more videos and podcast episodes. If you are not following me on Instagram, y'all know I say this every video, follow me, Jesus_Coffee_Conversations. My podcast, Let's Talk Jesus and Coffee Conversations. You can get that podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. It's also available on Spotify. And make sure you give me 5 stars. I really would appreciate it. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. My books, I am a published author, for those of you who don't know. So you can get my 2 books. The first one is 40 motivational tips. I think it's Jesus Coffee Conversations, 40 motivational tips. And then the other one is 60 devotionals for everyday living, something like that. But they're available on Amazon. Merchandise is available in Teespring, Jesus and Coffee Conversations. And I think that's everything. If I forget something, I'll put it in the description box below. But I think that's everything. So anyway, y'all, enjoy the rest of your week. It's Tuesday, August 9th, I think it is. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.